If you're the type of person who gets a sunburn just by looking at a picture of the sun, I have a bizarre secret for you. There was a time when your direct ancestors didn't need sunscreen at all. In fact, a few 100,000 years ago, the chances of you having pale skin or freckles were exactly 0%. Everyone on this planet, including the ancestors of the palest Europeans today, had deep, dark skin. So, how on earth did some of us turn into walking milk cartons? The answer begins with a massive evolutionary wax job. To understand how we got our skin color, we first need to travel millions of years back in time. Meet your ancient ancestor. As you can see, he wore a fashionable hairy fur coat all year round. But here comes the first plot twist. If you shaved off that fur coat back then, guess what color his skin was underneath? White? Or, well, a very light pinkish skin, just like chimpanzees today. Underneath all that hair, humans were actually super pale. Why? Because that thick layer of fur blocked all the harmful UV radiation from the sun. The skin itself didn't have to do a single thing. But then the world changed. Our ancestors left the shady forests and moved on to the scorching African savanna. They had to start running for their food and try running a marathon in a fur coat under a 104-degree sun. Exactly, you overheat and your brain literally boils. So evolution stepped in. We lost our fur so we could sweat and cool down. But now our ancestors were standing there, butt naked, with a super sensitive, pale, pink skin right under the deadly UV rays of the equator. And that almost ended in absolute disaster. Without fur, that pink skin was completely defenseless. Now you might think, oh, they probably all got skin cancer. Well, they did, but evolutionarily speaking, that wasn't even the biggest issue. Skin cancer usually hits later in life, after you've already had children. The sun had a much more fundamental, invisible weapon. It destroyed the folate in their blood. And folate, also known as vitamin B9, is the holy grail of human survival. Without folate, men can't produce healthy babies, and children are born with severe birth defects. The UV rays were literally about to wipe humanity off the map. Time for an evolutionary upgrade. Nature activated a built-in survival mechanism, melanin. This is a natural pigment that works like a biological sunscreen, except it never washes off. The humans who happened to produce a bit more melanin had darker skin, they survived, had healthy babies, and within no time the entire human race was dark-skinned. This was the ultimate survival trick. For thousands of years, dark skin was the absolute global standard, until a few adventurous ancestors thought, hey, let's go see what's happening up north. About 60,000 years ago, groups of our ancestors began leaving Africa, migrating toward Asia and Europe, and there they entered a completely different world. Gone was the blazing equator sun, hello gray clouds, short winter days, and miserable rainstorms. To avoid freezing to death, they bundled up in thick animal skins, but by doing this, they accidentally created a brand new, deadly problem. Their super strong, dark skin, which had saved them so perfectly back in Africa, suddenly became their greatest enemy in gloomy Europe. Why did dark skin become an enemy? It all comes down to vitamin D. Our bodies need UV radiation to produce this vital nutrient, which is crucial for strong bones and a healthy immune system. In Africa, the sun was so intense that enough UV light always got through, even with dark skin. But in gloomy Europe, where the sun barely shined and people wore thick clothes, dark skin blocked all the remaining UV light. The result? A massive vitamin D deficiency. Bones turned as soft as rubber, babies got sick, and humanity faced extinction once again. Something had to change right now, and so evolution had to hit reverse. The ancestors who had a tiny DNA typo a mutation that caused them to produce less melanin, developed lighter skin. In the dark north, this was a massive advantage. Their pale skin acted like a magnet for the limited sunlight, allowing them to make enough vitamin D to stay healthy and raise strong children. Over thousands of years, the northern population became lighter and lighter. Becoming white wasn't about cosmetics or fashion. It was raw, biological survival to adapt to a world without sun. And what about redheads with freckles who burn instantly? That is the extreme version of this evolution. Freckles are actually tiny islands of concentrated melanin on an ultra-pale skin. Think of them as biological solar panels trying to soak up every single millimeter of sunlight in places where the sun almost never shines, like Scotland or Ireland. So, the next time you look in the mirror at your skin tone, whether you are deep dark, golden brown, freckled, or pale as a ghost, remember this. Your skin is living proof of where your specific ancestors fought for thousands of years just to keep you alive. Our skin changed just so we could survive the climate. But how did our ancestors survive the other inhabitants of the planet? Because when we arrived in Europe, we weren't alone. The massive, super strong Neanderthals already lived there. And the meeting between us and them turned into a bizarre story of survival, drama, and some very awkward romance. Click right here on the next video to discover why you still have Neanderthal DNA running through your veins right now.